In the fifth session, we turn to the financial due diligence process. And here we're sticking to the analogy of buying a car. So when you agree the price, you've already checked the vehicle. A garage will hopefully have provided the car with an inspection report that reassures the buyer. Or if you're selling a house, a survey is essential. And whilst in Scotland, the seller will pay for the survey, in the rest of the UK, it's the buyer who will, in most cases, have the property surveyed, and they'll be looking to identify any issues up front. Because guess what happens if any defects are discovered? What will happen is you've got the opportunity then to negotiate the price down, haven't you? So, and that's all very well for a car, but when we're talking about a business, the stakes are very high here. So the buyer will do a lot of, or should do a lot of due diligence to make sure that they are making themselves aware of anything that is, not obvious, that they need to be aware of. So, if you're planning to sell for very little or to someone you know well, for example, a management buyout or an employee ownership trust, then the due diligence process could be, really quite rudimentary. But in every other case, your buyer will be looking for anything that is not 100% right. And, they're inevitably going to be looking to beat you down and renegotiate the price every time they find something that is of concern. Here we have an example of financial due diligence report, and this is, by the way, I spoke earlier of the reports that are available to you for your business. Well, this is actually, something that can be provided. As you can see, this is incredibly detailed. We're going through, and this is just the financial analysis of the business. As a seller, you cannot afford to leave it to the last minute before finding and identifying issues, especially financial issues. You must seriously evaluate your business from the perspective of the buyer. You need to stand back. And you need to be looking for, and if it's all possible, addressing all of those issues that will otherwise result in a serious reduction in the potential sale value of your business. Because if you're only just discovering these issues within your business at the time of sale, the buyer may wonder why these issues have not already been addressed. Because let's face it, when you're running a business, you don't want to wait until the exit to actually run it well. The intention ought to be running the best business that you can possibly run. So why wouldn't you want to be aware of these risks and these issues in the first place so that you can minimize them and mitigate them? That's good business sense, good business practice. So that's the financial due diligence, which is a session on its own. In session 6, we're looking at overall business risk management, not just financial. But if you think about it, ultimately, every area within your business impacts financials. It impacts in terms of cost, time, efficiency. And so what we're trying to do, trying to achieve here when de-risking the business, it's ideally twofold. What we're wanting to do is understand and assess and manage risk today, and to be able to quickly and efficiently provide evidence that these risks have been understood, that they've been assessed and managed to people in the future. We want to be able to demonstrate that we are responsible business owners, and we've got the business under control. So and the risks that we cover here are all aspects of the business. So, we need to be looking at every area of the business in order to see whether or not there are things that could actually lead to problems in terms of running the business just full stop, but also in terms of devaluing the value of the business in the future. So what we're doing is we're really ensuring there are no skeletons waiting to fall out of the cupboard now or in the future. So what are the sorts of risks a buyer will look for? Your risk assessment can be massively streamlined and simplified. And here I'm demonstrating a tool that you can use to really help that process. And this tool here is called the Risk Dashboard. And as you can see, it's very comprehensive. So these are all of the modules. Some of them are optional. They may not relate to your particular business, for example. But by actually going into all of the areas within the business and asking certain questions, what we can do is start to flesh out those problems, start to ensure that we are running the business well, and that we've and there are some areas here that are statutory obligations. Areas that as directors of companies we should be ensuring are in place because it's a legal obligation on our part. So to summarise, when we look at this, what we're doing here is we're giving a comprehensive risk management solution that not only de-risks your business and potentially your most valuable asset. What it's also doing is it's providing a very robust and easy way to demonstrate to prove that you've taken all of those reasonable measures to manage and mitigate the risks. So basically what we do have is an audit trail that we can show to a potential buyer, to prove that we've been running the business well. So our 7th session, we look at business valuation. And there are at least 14 reasons, would you believe, why you actually might need to get your business valued. And yes, of course, we've got selling the business. What about if we're buying a business? We can actually use these sorts of reports and tools to investigate other businesses that we're looking to acquire. Mergers and acquisitions, if we're securing finance, all of this, the due diligence, it gives us the opportunity to show potential investors and funders, that we are a safe bet, basically. We may need valuation for estate planning, divorce proceedings, like I mentioned earlier. The fact that settlements may need to happen and be funded by the, breaking up the business, shareholder disputes, insurance cover, obviously strategic planning. And I say obviously because it sounds like it's something we obviously ought to be doing, but it's surprising how many business owners maybe do not have a clear strategy of what they're wanting to achieve. We need them for employer ownership trusts, exit planning, taxation and compliance, litigation support, and also for financial reporting. We need to know what our business value is today. We need to know now because we need to understand what the gap could be. In the 7th, so in the session, what we do use is when we're looking at valuation, we've got 7 valuation techniques that we go through. And what we do, and we need to do this because at some point you'll be asked to justify the value that you are asking for, and you'll no doubt use a combination of these valuation techniques in order to demonstrate to whoever's needing to know that information what the backup is. And at the end of the day, there are 3 types of valid valuations. There's a calculated value, and that's what I've just spoken about, using those valuation techniques. There's also the perceived value, what someone else is prepared to pay for your business. So that will be a function of what your business actually is worth to them. And, that could be way over what the calculated value could be. Depending on how vital it is for them to acquire the business in order for them to achieve their strategic objectives. And then there's the transferable value, which is based on on a business that can continue to thrive under new ownership. So, a business that can be transferred is a business that has strong financial performance. It's got operational efficiency, a skilled workforce, a loyal customer base, a robust market position, a valuable intellectual property, growth potential, effective risk management and legal compliance, and so it goes on, really. In other words, it's a business that is run well, with a good management structure, with good sustainable profits. Because without the above, and for example, if you are the business, then that business cannot be transferred. If you are the business, if you're wanting to sell, you can't walk away, and so the value to that business is zero. So the intention is to work to improve all three. In our 8th session, we look at business growth, especially important if we've identified that we've got a wealth gap. So, assuming that you know your number, we've got our financial valuation, we know what the business is worth, and your business is now in a state, so it's ready to be sold. There's a simple question. Is the likely value that you will achieve on sale greater than the number that you're after? And if yes, great. But if no, then what we need is a plan to increase that realizable value with clear, measurable targets to achieve over the coming period. And then you need to continuously monitor performance against the plan and work to close the gap. And when everything's in place, and it's if you wish to do so, then you can achieve that financial independence and safely start the exit process. But that's your choice. Contrary to popular belief, to scale a business is not all about new customer acquisition. And that's not to say new customer acquisition is not important, but to really grow equity value, so to achieve that valuation that you're after, you need systems and processes, and you need to know your numbers. And I'm talking about the key business growth drivers. And you need to be tracking and reporting on them to achieve systematic scalable growth.